physical magazine. I know, not everyone produces magazines these days, but we still are producing.
Reverend Taylor, it has a what? A what?
Exactly right. But we do have a digital publication as well. So if you're not into the tactile magazine, you can get the digital version at soju.net. But we write about the intersection of faith and politics, all from a lens of a commitment, or through a lens of a commitment to justice and peace. And, we reach and inspire Catholics, mainline Protestants, evangelicals, and the Black church, which is my tradition, Latino churches, and more. And I think our strength has been really articulating that biblical call to justice and inspiring Christians to put their faith into action. What I have tried to do as president is really build up some of our infrastructure around our mobilizing work and our advocacy work. And I'm really proud of a number of the campaigns that we have. I'm just going to mention one right now, which is an umbrella campaign called Face United to Save Democracy. And it was started after the Supreme Court case in 2013, Shelby County versus Holder, where ultimately the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Shelby County and essentially gutted the Voting Rights Act, enabling states to no longer have to pre-clear any changes they make to their election laws through the Justice Department. And predictably, we saw a barrage of new restrictive laws being proposed and ultimately put in place in many southern states and in some Midwestern states across the country. These are kind of new, more sophisticated versions of voter suppression. And so we joined forces with the Skinner Leadership Institute and created a campaign to try to ensure that faith leaders would be on the front lines of protecting the freedom to vote all around the country, but particularly in these states where we've seen the biggest barriers and restrictions put in place. And then over time, it's actually grown to be a campaign that's really trying to not just protect the freedom to vote, but also protect our democracy in a time when it's very much under assault by a president who literally in a State of the Union address is arguing the only way the Democrats can win is by cheating, and continues to double down on the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen. And so that campaign is literally trained thousands of faith leaders to serve as what we call poll chaplains in predominantly Black and brown polling sites, to ensure that we can prevent violence and intimidation, and then we can ensure that we have real, free, fair, and safe elections.
When we come forward, Reverend Taylor, I want to talk to you about the rise in white Christian nationalism. And I think part of what some of us may not be seeing enough of are leaders from the Black church, leaders from a faith tradition steeped in a Black liberation theology, quite frankly. We're not hearing enough from folks on these internet streets, on the airwaves. And there seems to be an evangelical movement that is repurposing Black liberation theology discourse in a way that is at odds with what I've understood the teachings of Black liberation theology to represent. And so I want to give you a chance to address that as someone who is president of Sojourners, that has both a physical magazine and digital publication that publishes viewpoints at the intersection of faith and politics. You have a number of points of view that are part of this publication, including folks from the Black church, the evangelicals, and more. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about that, and I know I'm not alone. You are listening to and streaming the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show here on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Reverend Adam Russell Taylor when we come forward.
It's Afternoon Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
On Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York is increasing security at sensitive sites after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran. Governor Kathy Hochul says places of worship will see added protection and warns gas prices could rise.
You are safe here.
She's also pressing President Trump for clarity on whether the conflict could lead to boots on the ground. Black Maryland Congressman Kwesi Mfume is criticizing President Trump's strikes on Iran, saying the president launched another attack without congressional approval. The 7th District Democrat called the action illegal and dangerous, arguing it put civilians and U.S. service members at risk. And the New York Attorney General's office is highlighting the top scams reported in 2025. Black Attorney General Letitia James says retail complaints led the list with more than 4,800 reports involving price gouging and deceptive advertising. Internet and auto service complaints followed. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new chili crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and tossed in a fiery crisp, paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Money should not be a problem for the Chargers and Rams to make major improvements to their roster for the 2026 season. When the NFL increased the salary cap last week for all 32 teams, the extra money gave the Chargers $85.6 million in salary cap space to sign free agents. The cap space for the Chargers is the 4th highest in the league. The Rams had $41.6 million in cap space. NFL teams can start signing free agents on March 11th. The hottest basketball team in Los Angeles is the UCLA women's basketball team. The number 2 team in the country will take a 22-game winning streak into the Big Ten Conference Tournament in Indianapolis. The Bruins' first game will be Friday. After going through the Big Ten 18-0, the Bruins will be the number 1 seed in the tournament. The last time the Bruins lost a game was on November 26th to Texas. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
You are listening to and streaming the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte in for Jesse Jackson Jr. You can catch me regularly Monday through Thursday in afternoon drive time right here on KBLA Talk 1580 as I host A More Perfect Union and proudly serve as KBLA's White House correspondent. So much news coming out of Washington day to day, but we consider ourselves your one-stop shop to make it make sense, to separate the fact from the fiction, along with expert analysis and conversations with leaders on the front lines. This hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, I am in conversation with one such leader on the front lines. I'm really delighted to be in conversation with the Reverend Adam Russell Taylor. He is president of Sojourners and author of A More Perfect Union. Speaking of A More Perfect Union, he's author of A More Perfect Union, a new vision for building the beloved community. Welcome back, Reverend Taylor.
Thank you.
And so before the break, I teed up a very important question that's been on my mind. It chances are it may very well be on the mind of many of our listeners and streamers, and perhaps even yourself. How do we begin to bridge the gap of understanding between those of us who subscribe to a Black liberation theology and folks who proudly lean into the evangelical community? It seems to me that the evangelical community has misappropriated some of the teachings of Black liberation theology to their political ends, but it doesn't seem like the evangelical community has been checked or at all, let alone effectively, by leaders of the Black church in doing so.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would distinguish kind of small evangelical community from the kind of white Christian nationalist movement that has hijacked and taken over large parts of that community. There are still many evangelical Christians, many of them white, who believe that the gospel is the good news. And many of them may have more conservative theological beliefs, but they're not necessarily in this kind of white nationalist category. The reason why we kind of refer to this movement as a white Christian nationalist movement is they really are purporting an ideology much more than an actual faith. An ideology that says that the real Americans are Christians. And they're not just Christians, they're white Christians. And not just white Christians, they're a particular brand of white Christians who are supporting a political agenda that often supersedes kind of core Christian beliefs that you and I would identify with, and most Christians would identify with, for that matter. And so I really try to make the argument that white Christian nationalism is really a heresy of the Christian faith. And it's a danger both to the witness of the church, right, the reputation of the church, and it's a danger to our democracy, because the most ardent supporters of the current president and the ones that most want to see a strong man in office are those that subscribe to white Christian nationalism. But here's the danger, and this is where I just want to parse this a little bit. There are a bunch of different on-ramps into white Christian nationalism that many Christians, including many Black Christians, also believe. This includes a belief that is often kind of a part of the DNA of this country, that we are or should be a Christian nation. Now, it's true that many of our founders were Christians and they were shaped by Christian values, but they very intentionally, through the First Amendment of our Constitution, made us a pluralistic nation in terms of embracing different religions and people of different faiths, and put in place religious liberty and no established religion. And so, that is baked into our Constitution. There's also the belief that we are some kind of a chosen nation. This goes all the way back to the Puritans, but that belief is still with us. The challenge is, if you think that we're chosen, that often can lead to a sense of arrogance and triumphalism that has been quite dangerous to the world and dangerous for our own country. And so you've got these different on-ramps that a lot of other Christians subscribe to that then can lead in this much more dangerous direction that can ultimately get you to the point of white Christian nationalism. The cross should never be waved by the flag. It should never be wrapped in the American flag. And I think it's really important that we say that very clearly, because if we allow that to happen, we are essentially committing idolatry, which certainly is something that offends the very heart of God.
I mean, let me just say, Reverend, you have said it with a clarity that I haven't heard nearly enough of, particularly on air. And I think it's important that we hear leaders of the cloth, leaders of faith, say that quiet part out loud. The fact that you unflinchingly were able to say that the cross shouldn't be wrapped in the American flag, period. Nor should the cross be wrapped in anybody's flag, because
100%.
last I checked, the teachings of Jesus are available to all.
That's right. For God so loved the world that he gave us his
Right?
only begotten son.
Ain't that
Right?
crazy? John 3:16. Come on.
That's right.
Right.
Come on. Right.
And so, we are seeing the opposite. We're seeing folks wrap the cross in the American flag. We're seeing people put a MAGA hat on top of the cross. If we want to continue this metaphor any further, and I can't help but think about Minneapolis, the Minneapolis church, where we saw activists like Nikema Levy Armstrong, later arrested by the Department of Justice. It's important that we call this stuff out when we see it. We call out the hypocrisy when we see it. We've seen journalist Don Lemon also indicted and brought up on charges by the Department of Justice for simply streaming that peaceful protest inside the church. And so, talk to us about the danger of Christian pastors doubling as ICE officers, ICE officials, right? And the long-term damage that you see coming down the pike, again, not just for the church, but for our democracy.
Absolutely. I mean, I am really alarmed at, certainly the indictment of Don Lemon. I have to admit, like I kind of wish that protest had happened outside the church. I have mixed feelings about protesters, even if they're peaceful, going inside of a church service, even if you disagree with what's going on inside of it. That being said, I was in Minneapolis a month ago, or a little less than a month ago, after the murder of Renee Good. And I was there for the ICE out of Minnesota Day of Action and Solidarity. And one of the things that's been really hopeful to me is we have seen many church leaders find their courage and be on the front lines of organizing vigils outside of detention centers, organizing neighborhood patrols to ensure that they can protect their immigrant neighbors. And many of them are doing it at a huge amount of risk and a huge amount of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
Reverend
that's fine.
Yeah, Reverend Taylor, I want you to pick up on that point when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More with Reverend Taylor when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit Genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
You are listening to and streaming the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm your guest host, Dr. Nicordelai Corte, and really enjoying this conversation with Reverend Adam Russell Taylor. He's the president of Sojourners and the author of A More Perfect Union, a new vision for building the beloved community. Reverend Taylor, before the break, you were really helping us to unpack an area of interest that that doesn't get reported enough, and that is the role that white Christian nationalism plays in the evangelical community. And too often, to your point, we lump them all together. And what you were attempting to do was to separate them, to make clear that there are evangelicals that are not about that white Christian nationalist life.
Right.
And there are white Christian nationalists that, in your view, pose a danger, not just to the church, but to our democracy, because of their belief that, you know, we are a chosen nation and that white people are sort of a chosen people. And this is the same ideology that really has been a cornerstone of white supremacy around the world, right? And so America doesn't have a monopoly on this. This has been a cornerstone of white supremacy around the world. And you were making a very powerful point that I'm going to continue to uplift, is that the cross should not be wrapped in the American flag. The cross should not be wrapped in any flag. And for those who want to challenge me on this, I would refer you to John 3:16, Reverend, that says,
"For God so loved the world, that he gave us his only begotten Son."
Double
Exactly right.
click on the
Jesus,
world.
that's right. That's right. And Jesus also said, "Take up your cross, deny yourself, and follow me." And so I also think that pushes back against some of the kind of prosperity, health, and wealth gospel that has also been a real challenge to many parts of the church, including the Black church. But if I may, I just want to mention one really, really inspiring thing that I've been a part of organizing. We launched with 400 other Christian national leaders from across different traditions on Ash Wednesday, which was just about a week ago, a call. It's really a declaration to Christians across the country. And you can check it out at acalltochristians.org. And the call is essentially a call for courage in this moment where we're seeing the consolidation of power and even our country slide toward authoritarianism. And I just want to share really quickly the first part of this call. It says, there are moments that call for repentance and resistance, courage and conviction, faith and fortitude. This is one of those moments. We call on Christians to join us in greater acts of courage to resist the injustices and anti-democratic dangers sweeping across the nation. In moments like this, silence is not neutrality. It is an active choice to permit harm. And it goes on to offer a whole series of really concrete commitments that we are calling on Christians to embrace through the season of Lent, and then certainly far beyond Lent as we get into Resurrection Sunday and beyond. And so we've already seen thousands and thousands of individual Christians sign on to this call. And one of the things that I think this moment is doing, it is really testing our faith. And I'm inspired that a lot of faith leaders have been on the front lines of resisting ICE, have been on the front lines of protecting the freedom to vote. But we all have to find a way to tap into the strength and resilience of our faith in order to protect the most vulnerable and to protect our democracy in a time when they're under attack.
And speaking of under attack, while we've been on air, USA Today and other outlets are reporting that 6 U.S. service members are dead. 6 U.S. service members have been killed in the United States war with Iran. That's according to the United States military, as its joint airstrikes with Israel expand. And a congressional debate over President Trump's use of military force ramps up right here at home. 3 American fighter aircrafts also crashed in Kuwait today. The crews surviving unscathed and in stable condition, according to the Pentagon. But the U.S. and Israel, for folks who are less familiar, began striking Iran on February 28th, this weekend, in a campaign that killed the nation's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and dozens of top officials, and hit more than 1,250 targets inside the country. Iran has retaliated with strikes against U.S. military bases in Israel and other nations in the Middle East. I think I read somewhere that there was a missile that hit a Fairmont hotel in the United Arab Emirates. In our remaining minutes, Reverend Taylor, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this. As a faith leader, as someone who was inspired by the work of the civil rights movement, inspired by the work of Reverend Jackson, what say you about America's latest entanglement in the Middle East?
I am deeply, deeply troubled and against the U.S., really President Trump's war in Iran. It is illegal. It is violating international law. It is immoral. And it is not only putting American lives at risk, it is already costing lives across the Middle East and could incite a much greater conflict that could be much more protracted. Iran, while certainly was a dangerous regime and was a sponsor of terrorism, I think we have to be clear about that. It did not pose an imminent threat to the United States. And we could be pursuing, and I think we could have achieved, a lasting nuclear disarmament agreement with Iran if our administration had been more serious about it. The last thing I'll just say really quickly is that this is a moment where we need Congress to show a backbone. We need Congress to show some courage and to stand up for its own war powers. Article 1 gives Congress the authority to declare war. And this current president has stripped that and essentially taken that for his own adventures around the world, first, most recently in Venezuela, and now in this current crisis. And as Christians, we're called to be peacemakers. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for you will be called the children of God." And so as Christians, we need to stand up for peace.
Our thanks to Reverend Adam Russell Taylor for joining us. He's the president of Sojourners. Again, run, don't walk, to pick up his book, A More Perfect Union, a new vision for building the beloved community. There's no time like the present to get your hands on a book like this and sit with a book like this. This is all the time we have for today. I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte, your guest host, and you've been listening to the Reverend Adam Russell Taylor. This is the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm filling in for Jesse Jr. all this week. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce this show each and every day. Our executive producer, Gina Towns, and to Taz, our sound engineer. It takes a village to produce this work, and we appreciate you. You've been listening to KBLA Talk 1580. Thanks to all, including Miles. We'll see you tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa